Hello everyone, my name is the Jurassic Insider and welcome back to Jurassic World Game. 2024 has been it's been an interesting year for Jurassic World Game, to say the least.
Yep, they nerfed it.
There's been tears, both of happiness and also of despair and destruction. But there's been a lot of good stuff, including all 33 creatures that came out this year. I know, 33, it sounds like a lot. It doesn't sound like Ludia at all to release 33 creatures, but no, they did. It was mostly tournament creatures, but towards the end, we actually did get some really exciting new hybrids and other related stuff that was kind of cool. And because of that, I thought, why not highlight some of the best creatures this year in a little bit of a different video from what we would normally do. In our top 10 best dinosaurs in Jurassic World Game released in 2024. Now, just a few disclaimers as we get started. As an extra bit of bonus content, I decided I was going to go through and rank all the rest of the creatures, all of the other 23 creatures, but we're going to go through them really quickly. I'm just going to say the names of them so you'll just know the placement, but then for the top 10, we'll actually explain my choices and whatnot, and it'll be all good and fun. Now, in terms of my rules on how I rank these guys, it was mostly pretty simple and straightforward. It was just how good the creature was, a little bit of design, and just how much I liked it played in, but mostly how strong it was, its accessibility, which is really important this year, considering that some of the methods to get some of the dinosaurs were, let's just say, better than others. Now, in terms of which creatures count for the list, there's a couple of creatures that haven't been released yet, but we know are coming to the game in early 2025. So because of that, I'm going to be including them. Their stats are already data mined in Paleo GG, and we already know everything about them. The only thing that will change is how they'll be introduced in the game, but I think it's pretty safe to go ahead and assume that they'll be in the game and come the way that they are. If anything changes, though, I'll let you guys know in the future. This also means that I will include Caprodactylus on the list, even though it still hasn't been included into the game. It's pretty obvious that it will be in the game in the next couple of weeks, so why not go ahead and include it here? Hopefully that's all okay with you guys, but let's get through this list, starting off with the honorable mentions, which is the rest of the 23 creatures. Here are the 22 honorable mentions. Number 33, Australotitan. Number 32, Euxiosaurus. Number 31, Scelidosaurus. Number 30, Diabloceratops. Number 29, Barracudasaurus. Number 28, Borealopelta. Number 27, Homophobia. I mean, hey, that's not cool. Homolocephal. Number 26, Masiacosaurus, I think. Number 25, Red. Number 24, Stegosaurus. Number 23, Charlie. Number 22, Brunette. Number 21, Carinosaurus. Number 20, Delta. Number 19, the Spino. Number 18, Stegosaurus Gen 2. Number 17, Diplocalus Gen 2. Number 16, Samoria. Number 15, Monkeydactyl. Number 14, Echo. Number 13, Geosternbergia. Number 12, Irritator Gen 2. And number 11, Quetzalcoatlus Gen 2. Alright, now it's on to the actual top 10, the best dinosaurs of the year, in my humble opinion. Number 10 and 9. Number 10 and number 9 is shared by Tyrannosaur Buck and Tyrannosaur Doe. Both of these creatures were released around the midway point of the year, and they were both star creatures, which is very nice, of two very iconic dinosaurs from the Lost World Jurassic Park. These guys had been requested to be added in the game for a long time, and they were met with mostly good reception. Their stats weren't incredible, and they really aren't that much better than any of the other creatures and tournament creatures I left off the list, a lot of which I just sort of ranked by their stats. These guys would probably place quite a few spots lower. However, it is their star power that gets them this high up on the list, on top of the fact that they just look really, really cool. Both of them look very similar, but they're both pretty solid. Now, as for the reason why they're both ranked together and not separately, it's because, well, they have the exact same stats, basically. They have the exact same ferocity, and while Doe does have a little bit of more attack, I didn't really see the need to put one higher than the other, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Both of these are pretty fine creatures that just basically make it up on this list because of their star power. I would say it was a very, very close choice between this and Quetzalcoatlus Gen 2, which is also a pretty solid creature, but I left these guys on just because of their accessibility. Number 8. Draconavinator is basically only on this list because it's used to make Compsognathor, which is the new hybrid coming. This guy probably doesn't need to be this high up on the list for any other purpose. I mean, it looks kind of cool. At least I think so. But we already know that this guy's introduction to the game is going to be so crazy expensive. It's probably going to be in the Collector's Exchange, and the requirements to get it are probably going to be absolutely ridiculous. However, it's used to make one of the best hybrids in the entire game, so it's really hard to argue that this one does not deserve to be in the top 10. The stats, though, aren't amazing. DNA cost, moderately low to justify it. It's mostly here because it does look really cool, and also mostly because it makes Consovenator.
Number 7.
Yeah, bet you didn't expect this one to be that low. Honestly, I was going to put Scorpius Rex Gen 2 even lower. It's a good dinosaur, and it's very, very hard to argue with that. In terms of the creatures that were actually released this year, and just in general, it is the strongest one by a significant margin. The creature is absolutely insane, boasting 9,000 health and over 5,000 attack, making it extremely strong. It's a really good hybrid, and it's really hard to argue with that, putting itself a lot higher than many of the other already good carnivore hybrids that have already been released in the game. However, outside of the amazing stats, pretty much everything else about Scorpius Rex isn't great. The obvious point that everybody's been pointing to is the fact that this guy was insanely stupid to get. The requirements were pretty crazy, and while some of the other ones that were released weren't much better this year, this one especially was pretty bad. Especially, it just came at a bad time. The fact that they hyperinflated the Irritator Gen 2 price was not a great look for this creature and really soured its introduction in the game for a lot of different people, making this creature just not nearly as useful or viable to get. I also am not really super crazy about the design. I think it's alright, but it's not my favorite, especially compared to the original Scorpius. And in general, it's hard to shake the feeling that this guy is really that important to get. Yes, this guy has the most attack out of any of the carnivore hybrids by a long shot, but it also could be replaced by several other creatures that are in its own standby, including, of course, the Indoraptors, which are both amazing and have better stats than this guy. Well, yes, Indoraptor and Indoraptor Gen 2 are better than all the other creatures in the game as well, and not just Scorpius Rex Gen 2. At this guy's high cost and how much high demand they put into the creature, it's very likely that a lot more people will find Indoraptor a much better option. It's just a theory, and it could go higher up on the list in the future if any of the components get a tournament, especially Irritator Gen 2. But for now, this guy kind of ranks a little bit low.
Number 6.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get so much hate for this. Yeah, I put Garrothorax above Scorpius Rex Gen 2. This guy is not even... This guy, he's a meme placement. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. There is no reason he should be above Scorpius Rex Gen 2. But goddamn it, this thing is absolutely adorable. I mean, he's basically just on here because of this one amazing, incredible selfie that he took that one time. It's hard to beat pure beauty and amazingness, and that's what Garrothorax had. But in all seriousness, he's actually kind of a good VIP creature. Yes, he's hid behind the VIP paywall, which is arguably worse than Scorpius Rex Gen 2 just being insanely difficult to get. But, you know, for VIP creatures, I think it is pretty fair that this guy is very, very solid. It's got some of the best stats of any of the VIP creatures, and it has a great amount of attack, plus it was released in a pack. It's just a very good creature. Honestly, I'm kind of running out of reasons to like this guy. He's sort of here as a wild card, you know? Just that creature that I need to have here. But come on, it's Garrothorax. It's adorable. It really slipped under the radar, and it definitely deserves more. It's much better than many of the other creatures released this year. And I genuinely believe that. I would say Quetzalcoatlus Gen 2 is also kind of up there, but once again, it had strong competitors, so I'm not going to worry about that. Garrothorax, though, yeah, my man deserves to be here. Okay, time for the top 5. These guys are the peak creatures. These are the ones that I use extremely often throughout this year, or something I really, really want real bad. These are some of the best creatures to be added to the game in a long, long time. So let's see who the contenders are.
Number 5.
Rodrigo Solitaire is a very, very solid flock. This year was really the year of the flocks. We got 2 of them unlocked, several of them came out this year, even Sinosauropteryx came out late last year, so it's just been a lot of flocks recently, but every single introduction has been great at the minimum, and that's exactly what Rodrigo is. This guy definitely edges out Dodo, not only because he has a lot more attack, which is a little bit more valuable in flocks, but also just because he was fairly accessible. He came in the season pass, and you can get up to 2 of him without paying any money, which is pretty good. Of course, I didn't do that because I'm an idiot. And also, they're just so adorable. Look at these guys. They're so cute. A lot of people kind of dismiss these guys and generally think that you only need one type of flock creature and the rest of them aren't really that useful. But I argue that having different classes of flocks is really useful. For example, if you face a team with a carnivore at the front and 2 pterosaurs in the back, a herbivore flock can be a great way to keep the pterosaurs from switching out, so you can easily put in an amphibian in the next slot to take it over, and then a herbivore in the back. This is a strategy that a lot of people use, including myself, and it's the reason why I think having different classes of flocks is really valuable, and this isn't the only time on the list where having a different type of flock is going to help it get even higher up on the list. Spinoceratops may not be as strong as Scorpius Rex Gen 2, but it's definitely a really good creature. I will say the Collector's Exchange probably isn't that much better. This time you have to sacrifice an Armamata, which is kind of insane, but I would almost say it's justified. This time they basically gave a way to get every single creature in a pretty non-intrusive way, even allowing you to get Mastodon and Humanosaurus through tournaments, which is pretty good this time. Especially compared to Dodo, where you kind of had to go in blind in the Collector's Exchange. This time you were given a lot more opportunity, and there was a much better way to get these creatures, even if it is insanely and unjustifiably expensive. Even with that though, the Spinoceratops, it's a really great creature. It's got really great stats, the most attack out of any herbivore ever released. Despite the high cost, it's still a really good creature, and a very tangible and good one in that fact. It's a mashup that makes a lot of sense, and it's also just fun in general. Having a Spinosaurus Ceratopsian hybrid is definitely something that I could see definitely working, and it overall works really well with an awesome design. Again, the thing that really holds it back is the fact that it is still so expensive to get at the moment, but honestly, it's not like Scorpius Rex Gen 2 where Irritator Gen 2 has only been unlockable through the Collector's Exchange and they did the whole hyperinflation thing. This time, if you did have Spinoceratops in the past, you could get it, which I think does give a point in the favor of Spinoceratops, on top of it being a herbivore, a niche that is much more needed to be filled out than the carnivore niche. Overall, a great creature, quite expensive, but pretty great.
Number 3.
Speaking off the top 3 is the Anorognathus, the final VIP creatures. Honestly, VIP creatures this year have been very solid, and of course Anorognathus was going to be the best one. I can see a few arguments for why this guy shouldn't be this high, but for the most part, I think it's an amazing creature. Honestly, if you asked me whenever I got the creature first, I probably would have put it a little bit lower, but since then, I've just realized how useful having a pterosaur flock is, especially one that kind of holds on its own even at level 10. VIP creatures are decently strong, and especially having the flock ability, this guy can hold matches on his own, which is something I can't say about any other flock that you don't level up. It's such a useful ability, and it's something that's pretty much exclusive to this guy, which is really awesome. Of course, it's not unlockable, but for VIP players, there was some pretty decent ways to get it. Even though they were somewhat expensive and time-consuming, it made sense for a creature that was this good. Again, I really appreciate having these different classes, and I think pterosaur flocks are even more useful to have than herbivore flocks, and possibly even carnivore flocks, which pretty much only have an advantage over herbivores. This guy, it's just super tremendously useful. Of course, this guy's cooldown time is going to be a lot higher than the other guys, but it's also pretty justified considering that it can actually do damage, and another thing that those guys can't do. The next two are pretty goated, but honestly, in a different world where this guy was just a regular loyalty creature and he was a glass cannon, I could see this guy making it to the number 1 spot because that's how much potential it had. Still an amazing creature, obviously. Number 3 is nothing to sneeze at. But overall, there's still 2 creatures that I think are a little bit better. And I think you could probably already guess what they are.
Number 2.
Okay, technically it hasn't been released, but come on. Caprodactylus is one of the best creatures to be added in the game for a very long time now. It's absolutely incredible and has amazing stats. Finally being able to overtake Metrophodon, this guy is just barely better than Udon with a nice serviceable ratio. It might not have as much attack as Metrophodon, and to be honest, I don't think anything ever will. But it's still really amazing and not bad at all. It's got a justified cost. It's basically everything Udon was whenever it was introduced to the game, but even better now that it's a pterosaur. Again, we don't know the requirements. All we know is that Tupondactylus is going to be difficult to get through the Collector's Exchange, but considering that this guy is better than Spinoceratops, I think it's probably worth it. He's definitely one of the best creatures to be added in a long while. It looks awesome. I love the fact that Caprasuchus Gen 2 and Tupondactylus, 2 of the best creatures in their respective classes, got a hybrid. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Imagine if it doesn't come out, though. That would be really funny.
Number 1.
In any normal year, the unreleased Caprodactylus would be number 1. But we have another unreleased dinosaur that sweeps the crown right off Caprodactylus. And that, of course, is Compsognathus. Probably the best creature to be added in the game ever. It's incredible. The stats are amazing on their own. 10,000 health and 3,000 attack, roughly. It's pretty amazing, even though this guy is stupid expensive. Now, this already sounds pretty solid, but of course you gotta keep in mind that Draconavinator will be a really hard creature to get, and this will probably be the hardest creature in general to get, considering that compies have only been unlockable through a really difficult modded tournament. So far, this guy seems kind of undesirable, but there's one important factor. This guy is a flock. I've mentioned flocks many times, and you likely know what that means. You likely know the significance and everything related to it. But considering that a flock hybrid is coming is already kind of a feat on its own. Now, I already mentioned that flocks are probably best whenever they're used as meat shields, especially with low cooldown time, which is what makes Compy the best flock. But this kind of changes the whole landscape. This creature is really good. It's not the best creature in the entire game, but considering the stats are already pretty great and in the higher median, it's kind of insane that this guy will be able to have 3 separate lives that can only be taken down if the opponent goes for a full 7 or a full 8. It's going to be near unstoppable, and it's basically going to have infinite health for at least 2 rounds into your game. Literally something no creature could penetrate, not even the best ones in the game with the most attack, the most health, nothing. It is truly unstoppable for the first 2 rounds. But even then, it is super strong. It can be switched out and has all the other abilities of flock creatures, being able to regenerate some of its lost brothers. It's kind of insane how much this guy can do. It's going to be an infinitely powerful creature that pretty much has no weakness. And that is a scary thing to face if you were coming across it in a battle. But hopefully that never happens to anybody. God forbid. Yeah, to be honest, this isn't even close. Caprodactylus is a very, very solid, great hybrid creature, but it kind of blends into the rest at the end of the day. Compsognator will likely be the best creature in the game until the end of its lifespan. And I am dead serious. It's amazing. You can ask anybody. It's amazing. Even if this guy costs an insane amount, even if the Collector's Exchange is the most ridiculous thing ever made, people will go after it. Because it is, at the end of the day, unstoppable. And that is a new type of power that this game has not seen in years. But anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Jurassic World the Game. I hope you enjoyed seeing the top 10 dinosaurs, and let me know your top 10 list or your top 5 list, whatever it may be. This was honestly really fun to make, and it was a very different video. I thought this wouldn't have as many spots as it did, but whenever I look back on this year, Ludia did add a lot, so it was pretty nice to have the whole list filled out. Let me know any other future suggestions and what you guys want to see in 2025, especially from ranking videos, because I want to do a lot more of these, but I also want to make sure they're interesting and edited in a specific way. This one was kind of rushed, so I hope you guys are kind of okay with that. But until then, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. This is a Jurassic Insider, signing out. Hello, everyone. My name is Jurassic Insider. The last episode of the year, Jurassic World. Thunder rumbles in the background. It is a